All right. Getting everything set up here. Good morning. Good Sunday morning. Oh, fuck that. It's afternoon. All right, my bad.
Well, it's morning.
Man.
It's morning for me. It's morning for me.
All right, well, good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Rivalry week is over. The college football regular season is over.
No, wait a minute. Let's not start bad mouthing after we just had a
It
nice
is,
introduction to the show.
but it
I
is.
know. I don't want to think about that though.
Well, look, I only speak in realities here, okay? The regular
Oh,
season's over. And it's sad but
I get
now
yes.
we enter bowl season, probably the most fun time of year in a lot of cases. The college football season is great, but the bowl season just has this different, like, I don't know, this different feel to it. Now,
Yeah.
not quite as fun anymore without, with people sitting out and everything, but still going to be
Right.
fun nonetheless. We're going to start seeing over the next few weeks players entering the transfer portal, very likely. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. We'll see what happens. Now it looks as though the portal is probably, if I'm not mistaken, the portal doesn't open until January though, until after the season's over. You get
Right.
that
Yeah.
one
The
window.
new. Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be kind of a new look thing, but we're going to see guys that opt out because of their entering the portal. I guess that's going to happen. So we're going to start seeing those opt outs here over the next few weeks, I'm sure. We're going to start seeing guys entering the portal from different schools. We have breaking news this morning as to what's going to be happening um, around the college football world, and I guess we'll go ahead and get that. The chips are falling at this very
Mm-hmm.
moment. It has been announced John Summerall will be taking over as the head coach of Florida at the end of this season. Um, Man, that bodes really well.
That's.
That's a big
Mm-hmm.
hire for Florida. I have been nothing but I've said nothing but John Summerall. If we're talking G5 coaches promotions, I'm going nowhere but John Summerall first, and I'm going to make him whatever offer that he can't refuse that's within reason for a
Mm-hmm.
G5 promotion. Florida has done that. They have a lot of playoff incentives. They have a lot of just generalized incentives. $7.5 million per year is the number I've seen for Summerall. I'm excited, man. I think Florida's going to be a player from the very beginning. They're going to bring in some guys over the next few weeks, and they're going to put themselves in position to be contenders from day one under John Summerall. It's going to be very exciting in Gainesville over the next few weeks.
Oh yeah, we were talking about this last night. Just in general about some of the things that were trending this way and getting the news this morning. If you get DJ Lagway with some improvement next year, if you're able to hold on to some of those key playmakers like Jaden Baugh and some of the other um, talented skill position players, this is a team that a lot of people were kind of expecting could be on that cusp of playoff.
This was a team people
You know,
thought was going to make the playoff this year.
yeah.
Remember,
Mm-hmm. That, exactly.
I picked DJ Lagway to win the Heisman this year.
Right.
It wasn't even close. Or no, I picked
Mm-hmm.
Cade Klubnik to win the Heisman. I picked Lagway second. Neither of those were close. But
Mm-hmm.
um, the point that I'm trying to make is that these guys, there's talent there, and I'm not the only one
Mm-hmm.
around the country who picked DJ Lagway or Cade Klubnik to win a Heisman.
Yeah.
Um, the way things go this offseason, John Summerall is going to have some options. He's going to have to keep DJ Lagway around. He's going to have to keep Jaden Ball specifically.
Yes.
And I think he's going to want to keep Dallas Wilson. I've said that a few times now, and I'm going to continue to. Dallas Wilson is going to be a very big part of this future on this offense, and I think that that's a guy that they really want to keep around. We'll see what they do as they turn around and go to look at the defensive side of the ball, who they keep around, who they bring in. Very excited. A lot of moves afoot for the Florida Gators. We'll keep up with all of
Yeah.
that, of course, as time goes on. But
And here's the before we move on to some of the other news, if you're a Florida fan and you are upset by this hire, you're thinking, oh, this is just Billy 2.0, another small time coach from the G5, similar success in the Sun Belt versus the American. I don't know what to tell you. I think that this is obviously we can look back and with hindsight on some of the moves, there was some excitement, and Billy Napier was a good, you know, coach at least trending upward at the time that Florida hired him. And so, maybe there's a little bit of reason to be skeptical that it will, not end any differently with Summerall. But I don't buy it. I don't think that this is Billy 2.0. I really think that you've got a really good recruiter. You've got a really good, offensive play caller who's going to get with these skill position players that we've talked about with Wilson, with Lagway, with Ball. I mean, this is a Florida team that you could see immediately be kind of taking that shoes of maybe a Vanderbilt or some of these teams that are right there on the doorstep here this year of the postseason as early as next year. I mean, this Florida team right now, with bringing Summerall in and getting the talent that if they can keep the talent they currently have, retain a lot of it, this is a team that is poised and ready to be, in that conversation year one. And that's not something that many of the other gigs that were open this year could say. I think you got maybe 3 schools that you could say could go and be contenders year one and with a new coach next year. Tyler, we could say maybe PSU, Florida, LSU, maybe, and that's it.
I don't know, but what I'm gonna say, I'm gonna keep this to Florida for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
We will see Florida in the college football playoff by 2029. I think it'll happen sooner than that, but I'm gonna say we will see it in the next 4 seasons.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. So moving on, I don't know if it's been announced yet. Granted, I just woke up like 30 minutes ago. I haven't seen it yet, but I do believe it's pretty well certain Lane Kiffin's going to LSU. Has that been announced, official, or?
It's expected.
Okay.
So there's a team meeting that's supposed to take place here in a couple of hours at 2 p.m.
It was
Eastern
9 a.m.
time.
yesterday. What the fuck changed?
They moved it back a couple hours for some reason. That was announced late last night while we were actually talking on the phone, I think.
Well, I saw 9 a.m. But either way, Lane Kiffin is expected to be going to LSU. If that's the case, great. I'm very surprised the LSU had gotten such a look here, just given the situation that had been put in place. But they're going to make a winning move, right? This is a move that's going to put them back in contention, put them back in the conversation going forward. I'm excited to see the moves that are made, see what LSU looks like. The question that remains in my mind is the obvious part about Lane Kiffin potentially not coaching in the college football playoff. If you're Ole Miss, the opportunities that you've had to make the college football playoff in your school's history have come since Lane Kiffin's been here. Last year, which was choked away, and this year, which you are going to make the playoff. I think this is your best chance to go win a national championship, at least in the near future, based on the situation that is currently coming up. Why would you take your school away from an opportunity to go win a national championship? Just because of a petty difference with a head coach that is not going to be there next year? I mean, I don't believe, and maybe this is me talking as somebody who has watched the alternate option coach for a couple years in his NFL team. I don't believe Joe Judge is going to step in and lead this team to a national championship. So to me, it's very difficult. I'm very, very curious where this whole thing for Ole Miss goes. But I'm baffled that you'll put pride over a chance to win a national championship in a world where morals are put to the side. Ole Miss will decide likely to not let him coach in the college football playoff, which is it's kind of crazy to me. I mean, I don't know that I agree with that decision. I think this is a school that can win one now if they let him coach and run this offense the way he does. That's my personal opinion. If they don't, I mean, you're fighting the portal through this playoff run on top of fighting the fact that you're bringing in a new head coach. I don't know why you would do that.
Before I push back, because I agree with that, and I'm only doing this just to bring up another point. If you're Ole Miss and you're looking at it, I mean, and I can understand it from their perspective of not wanting players poached and not wanting to have a championship potential roster disassembled during the course of the playoff. But at the same time, if you're Ole Miss, if he's making up his mind already that he's going to take another job, what's the incentive to stay, for a potential run to a championship? Like I said, I agree with you. I don't necessarily think that that's the right mindset, because what's the purpose of playing this out if it's not to at least compete for the chance to win a championship? But at the same time, if you are Ole Miss and he's not committed to being here, long term, if he's already taken another job, go on and we don't, want you to be here any longer than you, if you don't want to be here.
Nobody said he doesn't want to be here, though. Like, that's the thing. This is taking this long because he does want to be there.
Yeah.
He's weighing his options
more.
He's weighing his options as to where he can go be a championship winning head coach.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that Ole Miss, for all that they're good at and good for, this program is not going to be able to keep up an NIL for as long as LSU is going to be able to sustain, especially without rule changes, which we've talked at multitude about. The move here is not because Ole Miss sucks and they can't do it. It's because they can't do it for as long as LSU can, and Lane Kiffin's not going to want to pay out of his pocket to help the NIL problem at Ole Miss when he doesn't have to when he goes to LSU. This is a chance to go and advance your career. Somebody who has had multiple opportunities, has been given the reins at NFL organizations, has been given the reins in the college ranks multiple times, had to start from the bottom. Remember, he was at FAU and put them into a contender in the American, left and went on to Ole Miss and has brought them into a contending form in the SEC, the most contention they've ever been in since the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And LSU knocks at your door. That's a program you don't say no to. You just can't. Not in today's world. But again, for Ole Miss to sit here and not understand that this is probably, they are where they are because of him and because of what he can do. And if they're not understanding that this is their opportunity to go and play for a national title, go and contend truly for a national title, and say, look, we don't want you to coach here. Again, good on you for standing on your morals in a world that doesn't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, this is a chance to bring a lot of money to your program. This is a chance to bring a lot of eyes and a lot of attention to your program.
Yep.
Are you going to throw away a chance at a national championship, saying that we can prove that we can go win it, bring a lot of eyes to different head coaches who would like to go and win one in this world, just to get at Lane Kiffin and say, yeah, well, this guy certainly wasn't going to lead us to one, when we know it's not true.
It seems almost like, I think you said cutting off your nose to spite your face last night, which, I mean, is
it's not what I said, but certainly
sure.
I can agree with that sentiment. I mean, it's just like it's basically like, yeah, we're going to hold ourselves back just so you can't do this. So you can't be the one to do it for the first time since the 60s with us.
Yeah.
That's just bullshit to me, man. Like, if you don't want to win, just say you don't want to win. And I know that's not true, because this Ole Miss program would love to be at the top. They are desperate to be where they are right now.
Mm-hmm. It's been a long climb to get here. I mean,
yeah,
it felt like it's been, bubbling over the last couple of years where they were in the striking range, and then they finally get a season where they can, put it all together. They, go through with the only blemish to another championship contender and a team that's won a couple here in this decade in Georgia on the road. And that was a game that they were, leading all the way into the, middle of the fourth quarter before Georgia, kicked it on into that, next level and left Ole Miss in the dust. That's not to say that they couldn't, do exactly what they were doing, early in that game if they got a rematch against them. And, in the playoff, anything can happen. And but like you said, I feel like you need Lane if you're going to be putting, in a position where you can hoist a banner at the end of the year. Your best shot is with Lane Kiffin.
Yeah. I
Now,
agree.
worry about next season when this season comes to an end. You don't worry about, you know, losing players to the portal or anything like that until this season comes to an end. If you are the if you're the Rebels team and you're locked in, um, you just have to basically block out all the outside noise and
What
know
you've done
that.
all year, what you have
Hmm.
done since Florida and LSU's jobs came open, block out the
Hmm.
noise and go win this thing because they have a team that can
Yeah,
certainly has potential to do it.
absolutely. I mean,
On a neutral site, this team can beat anybody in the country.
hmm
There's not many teams that are going to be able to hang with what this offense does, and the fact that this
yes,
defense has been as solid as they've been all year long too. It's just common sense to me that you give your school the chance to win over being petty. You give your school the chance to go win a title. You give your
yeah,
fans what they deserve, sticking with you for all these years. Excuse me, I should have drank the Diet Pepsi this morning. But you give your team the opportunity to go do something you haven't done since the '60s. A lot of these kids have not seen this team be that competitive. This team has not been that competitive since the Chad Kelly era, which went real well for them. And was it Chad Kelly? Was that right?
yeah.
Just
hmm
before Hugh
Well,
Freeze, right?
I was
Chad
I would
Kelly, Hugh
say.
Freeze.
Yeah, it was. So Chad Kelly, I think, was the last year that they were really good with Hugh Freeze. The first year they had Wallace, right?
Bo Wallace, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Bo Wallace. I thought it was
Bo
Bo
Wallace was
Wallace,
the
but I didn't know.
quarterback in NCAA 14.
Mm-hmm.
For those who
Yeah,
may not remember that.
I
But
was to
yeah, no,
say
it's just
they went Bo Wallace, Chad Kelly for a couple seasons, and then I think they had Shea Patterson in either 16 or 17 before he
16,
transferred to Michigan.
16 and 17, and then he transferred to Michigan for 18, 19.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's
Um,
what I thought.
but yeah, no, to me it just why would you take yourself out of a chance to do something you haven't done in a really long time? That to
Yeah,
me is where I'm at with it, but I mean,
I'm right there with you.
I'm not in the room. I don't fully understand it all, but I think Lane Kiffin's been extremely respectful to this program, and I think he's gone the right way about it. He's had the conversations he needs to have. He's taken his time, which is something that a lot of coaches are just quick to jump ship. He's taken his
Hmm.
time in this process. It shows how much he wants to be at Ole Miss. It shows how much he cares about the program. It's just a
Yeah,
better opportunity has come calling, and you have, as a head coach, you have to take it because you don't know how many chances you get to win a title.
right.
LSU gives you more options and more opportunities, I think, than Ole Miss does.
Yeah.
That's just the way I feel.
Without serious NIL overhaul, like you
Yeah,
mentioned at the beginning.
right. All right. Staying in the SEC, Auburn has announced that they know who they're going for and likely are already in the process of hiring. Alex
It
Goulesh,
looks like it's
I
official.
think it is. Alex Goulesh has been announced, or at least is assumed, to be the new head coach at Auburn.
Hmm.
I think we're going to walk into Josh Heupel 2.0. Offense has been great. Offense has been
Hmm.
fantastic at USF, and we can agree with that. The defense at
Hmm.
USF has not been up to par. And
Hmm.
when we sit back and look at this Tennessee program, who's had the worst defense this year that they've probably had in their entire school history,
Right.
it's one of the worst defenses in the Power Five, just
I
plain and
mean,
simple.
it may have been a Diego Pavia Heisman moment. That's how bad it was yesterday.
We're not getting into that game yet, but the point
Okay.
remaining, like I can't quite believe that this is going to be a move. Like John Summerall coming up is offense, defense. Like he focuses on everything.
Hmm.
Who is Gillespie going to bring in? Like what's Gillespie's staff going to look like? How
Yeah.
this Auburn defense looks like. If he keeps DJ Durkin around, which here's the other thing. I think DJ Durkin's going to go try to coach somewhere. I think he's going to become a
Yeah.
head coach
Be a head
somewhere.
coach. Hmm.
So who does Alex Gillespie bring in as a defensive coordinator? That'll answer everything I need to know about this Auburn team next year.
Yeah.
I trust the offense. I have no reason to believe this
Hmm.
offense will not be good because it's been good at Tennessee.
Yeah.
It'll be good again at Auburn.
Hmm.
But I do have reason to believe that this team and this defense could be bad next year. So
Yeah.
I'm very curious. I'm on a very big wait and see kick here because I'm really on a wait and see with Josh Heupel right now.
Hmm.
I don't know that Tennessee's going to get much better. They've had locker room issues over the last 6-7 months that cannot be ignored. They've had issues within this defense that cannot be ignored. How am I supposed to believe that somebody who came up coaching under Josh Heupel is going to know any better? When I watched USF's defense, and they've been bad. Plain simple,
Yeah.
they got eliminated by Navy last week or 2 weeks ago because they couldn't play a lick of defense against that triple option. I know it's difficult, but man, you're telling me that a Navy team that runs ball control and takes up the majority of the clock scored 41 on you and was up by 2 scores all game because you couldn't get a stop?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. To me, I don't know that I like this move. I don't know that this is the winning move that Auburn's looking for. They would have been better off with Hugh Freeze in this case. Their play was to improve their offense, sure. But at what cost to the defense that was one of the best in the conference this year? I mean, truly, the offense was the problem at Auburn this year.
Yeah.
What costs are they giving to lose out on? What are they going to give up making this move? I'm very curious to see what the staff looks like. I'm excited to see who the defensive coordinator is going to be. That'll determine what I feel next year for Auburn.
And I mean, you know what you're getting if you're, Alex Galesh and you're Auburn. You're an attractive place now for a lot of, not just Alabama high school kids, but the entire Southeast with Georgia, with Florida, and areas in between. That any kind of offensive skill set players, as we as you mentioned, they're going to be in contention for them. And so I'm right there with you in the excitement for what we should see from the Tigers offensively. But man, it's something that Freeze and company built that defense up here, over the 3 years that he was head coach there, and turned them into something really good. I saw a stat, and I don't know if this ended up being the what the final numbers on this were, but at one point in the month of November, there were 3 teams that had allowed like less than 21 points per game defensively. I think that number may be off, but the 3 that were the some of the best scoring defenses in the country were Indiana.
Hey, I
Ohio
gotta be right
State,
back.
who are
I
the
gotta
top
get something
2.
from outside. So just carry on, and
Yeah.
we'll stall for like 5 minutes. Sorry,
right.
something got here that my mom sent that I need to get inside.
Okay, yeah, no worries. But anyway, so Indiana, Ohio State, were the top 2 teams in that respect, and it makes sense because they're undefeated. They're the top 2 teams in the country. They're going to be playing for the conference championship. They're going to be the last 2 undefeated teams battling it out. The other team was Auburn. Auburn, in that same conversation with Ohio State and Indiana defensively, it shows you that it was not an issue that they had defensively. The issue has always been the whole season that they could not get, good enough consistency from Jackson Arnold, the offensive line. They really struggled there. They struggled with drops, and they struggled to put up points. They were just abysmal here over the last 3 or 4 years in 1-score games. And part of the reason why is that their defense was, keeping them in the games, but they could not do enough offensively to, flip the outcome the other way. So yes, you may be getting better offensively, but it could be one of those situations where the monkey paw curls and you end up sacrificing a lot more of that great strong unit that you built up defensively in exchange for trying to be a more offensive minded unit. I'm really, like Tyler said, I'm really curious to see what direction they go with the defensive coordinator position, who stays on the staff, how much of those playmakers they're able to retain and hold on to from this unit that has been built up into one of the better defenses, looking at the numbers at least, over the last few years, and especially this season.
It wasn't what I thought it was. It was something that was
Oh,
not. But Amazon told me these Sterilite bins were not getting here until December, like
Wow, look at
12
that.
days from now. They're here
You
today.
get him.
Well, now I
You get
got shit
them
to
the
do
day
today.
before
All right,
December.
no, now I got stuff I got to do. So I'm not particularly amused. But no, and then our order from Costco arrived, so I had to go pick it up or go get it from the
That's
guy
all good.
outside. So.
Yeah.
Where'd we leave off? Where you at?
I
Same
had
thing?
just finished talking about the Auburn defense and hoping that Galesh makes the right decision for the defensive coordinator. So I think we're on to the last domino out of the SEC. It looks like that will, at least the last one that we have news about to talk about, or at least it's rumored.
Go ahead.
Rumors say that Memphis's Ryan
Oh,
Silverfield has agreed to become the next
okay.
Arkansas head coach.
Yeah. So, basically, what has been said the whole time, right? So, this was
after the Rhett Lashley extension at
yeah,
SMU.
but yeah. So the thing is that Silverfield and Lashley have been the rumored hires for months now, since Sam Pittman was fired.
Yeah.
Notice how at no point in there was Bobby Petrino ever considered.
Right.
They're like, we're not going down that path again.
No, he shouldn't have been considered because of the power coup that he levied, and when the season didn't go any better with him as the man, they're like, okay, that era's over.
Yeah. But Ryan Silverfield, as a head coach of Arkansas, is very intriguing to me. Okay, this is a guy who's from the area, as far as I'm aware, he is an alum of Arkansas. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that was kind of the story. There was him and Lashley both are two alums. Look, this Arkansas program's been down in the dumps, and I don't particularly think it's anything specific, right? The defense plays well at times, the offense plays like shit at others. It's kind of been the story of the Arkansas life cycle, really, ever since, other than Brett Bielema's era or tenure. This program's got some soul searching to do as to who they are and who they're going to be. I think Ryan Silverfield knows who he is and who he wants to be, but can he recruit at the level that's necessary to bring Arkansas to be a contender? Can he coach at the level that's necessary to bring Arkansas to be a contender? Because I think that's even more important and arguably a bigger story than it is for Ryan Silverfield and whether or not he's going to win games. Because he is. He's a good coach. I don't have any problem with him. And as a matter of fact, he knows the area so well in recruiting. I think he's going to get a lot of Tennessee, Memphis, and other area recruits the same way he was at Memphis. The biggest thing for me is can he coach it to the level to win games? Can he bring in the staff to win games? If I'm being completely honest, I think, this is a bold take, I think Arkansas is in a better spot than Auburn. I didn't know that I'd be saying that, but given the moves that we've seen, I do believe, and I stand by that statement.
It's definitely a bold take. I will say that. I'm trying to right now to find and make sure if I can confirm about Silverfield being Arkansas alum. He was, served 1 year as I believe, a Georgia high school head coach back in like the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not finding anything on where he ended up being or went to school or anything. So let's see here. I'm intrigued by the move. I think that it has the possibility of working out well. I think the big pushback that some folks might have, the track record of promising up and coming coaches at Memphis not panning out at the P4 level. You look at Fuente, you look at Norvell, and now Silverfield is they're worried that Silverfield will be the next in that in that span.
I don't think you can do it that way, though. I
no,
just
you can't.
don't.
It's just one of
look, I don't think it's a hire that's going to go and make you a contender. I just think that it's a move that you would like to make and hope that it works out and you become a winning program. It could build from there. With Arkansas, guys like Brett Bielema became guys that could take this team, an experienced team, to maybe a playoff every 3 or 4 years,
Hmm.
um, and then have to go back to the you kind of go back to the middle of the road, and then you have to put it back in the playoffs after another 3 or 4 years. Kind of a similar stretch to like Northwestern's competition level in the within the Big Ten when it was the East and West. So to
Hmm.
me, I don't think this is a bad hire. I'm not mad about it. I think it's going to work better than Galesh does. But I don't think either of them are going to be long term answers.
I'm right there with you in that. Hopefully it depends on what your expectations are. I think that's
Like,
going to be ultimately how it
yeah,
how long they stay and how much success they find
like
is,
we're gonna grade
are
these
you
teams, man, and we're gonna grade their
yeah.
off seasons and stuff. We're gonna talk about it when we go into next year when preview season starts up. We're gonna talk about the things they do over the off season, and these couple of moves specifically are going to be very heavily balanced by what they make and what moves they decide to make in the
The
coordinator
rosters.
positions. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, look, we're starting to look ahead already as we've exited rivalry weekend
Hmm.
to say, man, what can these teams be next year? I think there's a lot of interesting places to be and look right now. And we have a lot of answers yet to happen, right? Clark Lea just extended at Vanderbilt, and I don't
Hmm.
blame them. Look, they're putting some NIL behind this program now, and they're starting to win games. And they just got a flip from 5-star Jared Curtis. Uh,
Yeah, from
so
Georgia, right?
yeah, so
Yeah,
Vandy is figuring it out, and Jared
yeah.
Curtis is going to come in and start next year, and I think he's going to look pretty solid. Um, it's gonna
At
be
first,
it's gonna be a fun spot. Unless Vandy gets a
for,
transfer, but that's a we'll see.
yeah.
See.
Silverfield did not graduate from Arkansas. He
No,
was Hampton Sydney College.
where's he from though? Is he from Arkansas?
No, let's see. So he started coaching in 1999 as alma mater, the Bowles School in Jacksonville, Florida. Played for the Bulldogs, was a member of 2 Florida State championship teams in 95, 98.
Okay,
Then he went to Virginia Hampton Sydney College, graduated there in 2003. Coached for 4 seasons at his alma mater, starting as an offensive assistant in 2000. Then he was tapped at the age of 20 as the Tigers defensive line coach. Spent 2 seasons at that post. Moved back to the offense in 03, coaching the tight ends and H-backs. Part of what was the nation's #1 scoring offense at that level that season. He then moved on to Jacksonville University before finally breaking through with UCF as a defensive assistant
gotcha.
in 2006, 7, something like that.
2000 what?
Yeah,
2006.
2006, 2007, 2006. He was an offensive graduate assistant. 2007, he was a defensive graduate assistant,
All right.
and then he spent 4 5 years. Let's see, 2008 to 2013. I guess that's 6 seasons with the Minnesota Vikings on
Hmm.
their um, offensive line and defensive line staff assistants.
All right. Well,
So
with that
interesting.
said,
More than I ever thought I'd learn about Ryan Silverfield right there.
yeah, I'm excited to see where the rest of this goes. But it's where we're at
Yeah.
right now as of 1 p.m. ish on Sunday. So with that
Hmm.
said, let's go ahead and talk about some on-field action from yesterday. I'm going to go ahead and get started with the title of this show, and I
Oh
believe the
boy.
title of this show. Ohio State with a 27-9 victory over Michigan. They break the 4-game losing streak, and to be completely honest, they were the better team start to finish in this game. An
Yeah.
interception on the second play of the game from Julian Sand, and from there on he tore it to shreds. You could see it building, right? The you can see the way Wink Martindale was calling these defenses that they were giving cushion. They were trying to avoid the deep pass. They were trying to avoid that attack mode that Ryan Day talked about, and they played it well very early. And once Brian Hartline figured out that, hey, they're gonna play deep, we're gonna get a bunch of curl routes in. We're gonna run what looks like a streak. We're going to break it off and stop right at the first down marker, and we're going to get a first down on that every time.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, on a 4th and 5, they run what looks to be the exact same play, exact same route. Jeremiah Smith breaks it outside and catches it. Should it be a touchback? Should it not? They called it a touchdown, plain and simple. And so that starts the parade that became of the Julian Sand passing game that never really ended. And it was just simply because this team could not figure out how to cover him. If it was me, and look, I'm not sitting here saying I could do better than Wick Martindale. I could do better than Chip Lindsey, but I can't do better than Wick Martindale, I don't think. But what I would have thought they could have tried to do was something similar to what they were doing with Andrew Marsh on the other side, is doubling them up, but having a safety take over top and having a corner play underneath. Or having the safety come play underneath and having the corner play over top but to match the speed, right? You could have done that either way you would have chose. And I think you would have had at least a better opportunity or a better chance. Because I would have rather Max Clare, who had multiple drops in this game, I would have rather Max Clare had the opportunities. Or Luke Kasmerick. I would have rather those guys had the opportunities and had 5 or 6 yards of play versus letting these guys get out in the open space on the edge. You have that. You look at the defensive play from Michigan. They just couldn't get off the field. Ohio State was I think like 9 of 12 on third down conversions. It was just it just wasn't a team that could get off the field, and that unfortunately is what took them out of this game. Only a couple punts from OSU's offense. It's just you can't win games doing that, and you certainly can't win games having to kick field goals when you have multiple drives that get inside the 5 or inside the 10. So
yeah,
just not a great one from Michigan. Bryce Underwood looked like a freshman. He the biggest mistakes that he made yesterday weren't so much turnovers. It was he drops back and pulls his eyes down immediately, trying to find the checkdowns. And you'll notice that if you go back and watch this game, you'll see him drop back, and as soon as he starts feeling any kind of pressure, he drops his eyes down and goes to the check down or tried to run it. He didn't ever he never actually progressed through his reads the way it was supposed to happen, the way the play was supposed to happen. And that's what the mark of a good quarterback will be. He's going to work over the offseason. I would hope that gets better. But as of right now, that's just not there. That's not in his game. Oklahoma created pressure and did it. USC created pressure and did it. And Ohio State certainly was the best at doing it. And to me, that's the part that's where Michigan lost this game. They needed Bryce Underwood to be the freshman that was paid $12 million to do anything yesterday. And instead, he was a freshman who was paid $12 million just to sit there and do nothing. It's an unfortunate reality, but that's the way it happened. And sure, he has this potential to be generational. He has this potential to be a really good quarterback. We've seen it. We saw it a lot this year at times. We come off of back-to-back games where he throws for 250-ish, in that range. And we think, okay, this offense is kind of coming around. 250 is about the mark for a Michigan quarterback. And then we come out here today and we get this. And it's just, or we came out yesterday and get that. It's just a very big 180 from what we saw last week from him, which was good progressions, good reads, and finding his men. He just couldn't do it. And Jordan Marshall had that shoulder injury, tried to come back into the game. It didn't really matter. Bryson Cusdahl played well. When a team can key on the run as much as Ohio State did, and a team could create pressure the way Ohio State did, and it wasn't like the offensive line was bad. They just brought 5 or 6 and made Bryce Underwood make plays, and he couldn't do it. It's the same game plan that Oklahoma used, and it worked once again. The difference was there wasn't a Justice Haynes on the field that could break a 70-yard run at some point in the game.
Yeah.
To me, there's room for improvement. This is a Michigan team that is this is a team that has a lot of freshmen on it, that has a lot of young talent on it. That I think I said generational. I don't think I said generalizational, but maybe I did. Whatever, it doesn't matter. English is tough. The point being, This is a team with a lot of freshmen. I think there were 6 freshmen starting on the offense this year at times. This is a team that I think has potential and is not going anywhere. 9-3 is a good year for a young team like this. I think that's something that we all have to really understand. But there's a lot of things yet to be determined. I mean, the question remains, and this is what I was just going to say: is Sherrone Moore the answer? I mean, jury's definitely still out. I don't personally believe so. I think there's got to be another move. But right now, I don't have the answer to that question.
Right.
I think a defensive change has to be made. I don't think Wake Martindale's the answer, and I don't think the current strength and conditioning program is the answer because it just didn't look good this year.
Yeah.
But I don't think Wake Martindale's the answer. I think Chip Lindsey's fine. I just think Bryce Underwood is a young quarterback, and we'll see what next year looks like. I don't think that this is a team that's going to regress very far. I think there'll be another 9 or 10 win season, but it'll be telling by the preparation and the overall strength of this team what they look like in the trenches. That's going to determine whether or not Sherrone Moore sticks around. It's not going to be the record.
So, in looking at it earlier this week, and I think you'd said it best. It was either yesterday or earlier in the week when you were talking with Bash about the game.
Mm-hmm.
You said you expected it to be low scoring. You said that if anybody hits 20, that'll be the team that wins, and that's exactly what played out. I mean, it played out exactly as you expected. Ohio State, even with the early turnover, holding Michigan to preventing them from getting in the end zone, as we've seen them do so often this year against teams that they face, where they get teams get in the red zone against them and they just bow up and they do not. They'll defend and fight to the last freaking inch on the field. This is just that good of a defense, and that really kind of set the tone early in that game. That even though Michigan was ahead, you never really got the sense that Ohio State, was going to get in their own head like they had here over the last couple of years, and they went into the break up 17-6. I think that may have been the biggest halftime lead they've had since before COVID in 2019 game. It was this was the time for Ohio State to get Michigan. This was the best chance that they have had since they lost it last year. You could argue that
the difference last year was experience. I mean, that was the difference maker in the game and why Michigan was able to stick around and ultimately pull that game off. Mm-hmm. This year, you noticed the difference. You noticed that lack of experience. You noticed that inability to create the big play that they had through the run game. Jordan Marshall going out hurt that a little bit. Mm-hmm. Let's turn this around a minute. Let's turn this around to Ohio State because they are the winners after all, and they deserve the credit that they. I mean, look.
Absolutely.
You don't turn things around. You don't sit here and say you admit this was an ass whooping. But what this Ohio State defense has done this year, allowing just over 7 points a game. Allowing absolutely nothing. They are the best defense in college football, allowing just over 200 yards a game. It certainly didn't. Michigan did not cross that number yesterday, so I think the number sits around 205 per game right now. This is the best defense I've ever seen in my life. I have not seen a team do better. And I'm going to be completely honest, I don't know that there's going to be a team that's going to be able to really figure them out. It's going to come down to whether or not Julian Sayin can lead this offense the way he has the last half of the season. He has improved tremendously. He is a Heisman candidate and Heisman favorite to an extent for a reason. And this kid is playing his ass off as of late. He's done a great job. He's done a lot more than I thought he would after week 1 and after really week 4 or 5 as the year went on. But they've started to figure things out. They figured out what works for him, and he's done a great job. This has been a really good. This is kind of a very big. This is a big indictment on Brian Hartline and how good he is. I mean, this is a guy that we got to be talking about as a candidate for a head coaching job. And, we'll see how that goes. But this team has done a great job. Matt Patricia has adjusted to the college game better than I think anybody ever has coming down from the NFL level. Maybe Mike McDonald maybe.
Yeah,
But I
maybe.
don't know that I believe that Mike McDonald did anything that's good. I'm going to say he didn't. Um, Look, I think this Ohio State team is the best team in the country. I've had them ranked number one all year long, and I'm going to continue to have them ranked number one all year long. Um, oh, well, since Clemson lost, anyways. But I'm going to continue to have them ranked number one all year long. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think this team's going to win a national championship. I think they're going to go back to back. I don't see another team that can do what they do.
When you look at some of the best defenses that we've seen going, the championship defenses that even last year's Ohio State, the 23 Michigan squad, the 21 Georgia squad. I mean, this is Ohio State. I think the only unit that you could say, at least here in this half decade, that's up there in terms of comparable to this Ohio State unit is that 21 Georgia squad, and the numbers are very comparable, and I think there might be a slight edge for Ohio State's defense this year. I mean, I'm trying to think back to, maybe the Alabama defenses of the early 2010s. That may be the last time we saw a defense that's been this dominant. If not them, then I can't say that this is up there among like the 01 Miami defense, because that's talked about and revered as a such a stacked unit, and it was, and we're certainly perhaps going to be able to look back here in 20 years time and with hindsight to see
I don't
what
know. I
this
don't know what this
defense.
defense is missing that Miami had.
Right.
They are
Right.
fantastic on the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
Their linebackers match up. I mean, look, you got guys like Sonny Styles. He's going to be the first non-offensive guy taken off the board,
Right.
according to a lot of mock drafts. Caleb Downs is
Mm-hmm.
one of the best safeties that we've seen in recent history. I mean, there's not many guys. I mean, matches up probably with Kyle Hamilton as one of the best safeties of recent history at the college level.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a group that I think is going to be kind of famed to go down in history as one of the best of all time, and that's
Yeah.
that's who
what
they
I
are,
was.
man.
That's what I was going to say, is that I think we can't say it right now, but I think we will be in a position to, not that we're not appreciating how good they are right now, but I don't want to, I don't want to anoint it before we get to the end of the season. So I think they're for sure, I think the best that we've seen in at least a decade, if not longer.
If they lose, it's not going to be the defense.
It's not likely to be because of their defense now.
So I'm just, for me, it's kind of just go ahead and say it. I mean, this is one of the best defenses we've ever seen.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, and I will go even further to say it clears Miami 0-1 because of the way these offenses play at this time in history. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to play defense at the level Ohio State's done. It's hard to keep teams under 10 points a game for 12 games.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unbelievable, man. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm good for them, man. What a year. Let's go down south to the land of Texas, and the eyes of Texas were certainly upon DKR on Friday night. Texas takes down A&M. The upset does happen. Texas finishes 9-3 with a 27-17 victory over the Aggies. They were dominant in that game. They didn't really never to me felt like they were gonna lose. Arch Manning finally starting to dig his heels in as a college quarterback, understand what he is and what he can be, and the Texas run game finally looked solid. Yeah. Finally looked like they had a little something for somebody.
Yeah, finally, 100-yard rusher for the first time all season. Yeah. And, not just that, 150 yards for Wisner.
Yeah, I'm impressed with this Texas team. Now, hear me out. This is not a playoff team, though.
Correct.
This team doesn't belong there. Not yet. There's some things that could happen, certainly, but to me, they do not belong there. I mean,
I want to see what the committee does with them, because I mean, here's, at the end of the day, this is the big problem that I have, and maybe you might feel differently, but I don't think you will. I've already heard from a multitude of Texas fans because of where I live on,
Of course.
on this subject. Yes, a team that has beaten 3 top 10 teams at the time that they played them is, I think, a team that could be in the conversation for it. But everybody's pointing to the Ohio State game as the reason why they won't make the playoff. And I'm going to push back and say, no, I think the only reason that they're even remotely in the conversation
You want to know why you're not? Want to know why you're not in the playoff? Let me just go ahead and cut you off. No, it doesn't just come down to Florida. You lost to Florida. You barely scraped by a Kentucky team that sucked ass. They lost 41-0 yesterday. 41-0 yesterday to Louisville.
Yep.
They got destroyed. You almost lost to that Kentucky team. You should have lost to Mississippi State had they figured out how to play offense. I don't know how. They forgot after having 38 points at one point in that game.
Yeah, early in the fourth, yeah.
I don't know how they lost. They beat Mississippi State the way they did. It's because you struggled your way through every single game. And because, yes, you beat Oklahoma, who's currently a top 10 team. That helps you a little bit. You beat Vanderbilt, sure. Well, sure. But you beat Vanderbilt. Who was the other top? A&M, okay. So then, but you've lost inexcusable games. And your offense does not look good. You haven't done enough to prove it. Like, you think because you finally figured it out in one game, do we think you're automatically deserving or more deserving than BYU, who's a one-loss team who's going to go into the Big 12 championship game? You're more deserving than Miami, who's a 2-loss team who has 2 losses that are very similar to yours?
And that better win?
Yeah. I mean, even Vanderbilt is ahead of you because they are a 2-loss team and arguably should be in the playoffs ahead of you. By the way, you almost gave that game away after being up by 24 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
To me, I don't know how you would sit here and say that this is a team that belongs in the playoff without bias. Whether it's for the SEC or for the team that you're talking about. I just cannot I can't sit here and with good faith tell you that Texas belongs in the playoff. Are they a good team? Yes, and I think it's going to be fun to watch them with whoever they play later this year in the bowl game. But I have no interest in seeing this team go and get waxed in a playoff game. I just don't.
No.
They're too far out of it, and it would take some very, very interesting scenarios to make that happen.
They needed more help than they got. I mean, we haven't talked about the outcomes from everything else, but they needed some help yesterday and throughout the weekend from the teams that were in front of them that they just flat out did not get. And so, they'll jump up a couple spots. I mean, here's the thing. I think that the ceiling that they could get to is they might get ahead of Utah, but I don't know if they should be. I mean, that you could say they have had better wins than Utah, but I think that's about it. I think I would cap them right at 13, which still wouldn't be enough when you account for whatever the hell the ACC is going to give us, and the possibility of the 2 G6 teams as opposed to Duke if it's not Virginia.
Yeah.
So
it'll be interesting to watch.
There's no
but
room this year.
Does this loss take Texas A&M out of a top 4 spot?
I think it does. I really do.
I think so. I agree.
Look at their resume. I mean, yes, they've got the victory over Notre Dame, but if you look at the rest of their schedule and the conference slate that they drew, they had more wins over teams that fired their coach mid-season than they did against teams that had a winning conference record. I mean, they got a very favorable draw. The Notre Dame victory is probably going to be their saving grace if they do stay in that top 4 range. But I would put them behind Texas Tech. I would put them behind Oregon. I'd for sure put them behind Georgia. I think the question
what does Texas Tech have that Texas A&M doesn't?
I think Texas Tech has been playing a lot better than Texas A&M has here, especially as of late here in the
Because
month
they're
of
beating up
November.
on teams that are worse?
Well, no,
There's not a team in the Big 12 below Texas Tech that would hang in the SEC.
We're not even having this conversation if South Carolina did what they should have done in the second half and finished them off and won that game.
But did they?
That would be an A&M. No.
What do I always say about ifs?
If your
Okay.
aunt had balls, she'd be your uncle.
Exactly. Why in the world are we going to punish A&M for doing what they did in the second half of that game? That's an incredible comeback. Like that is a season-saving comeback that they had in that second half and played the way they should have played the whole game in that second half. They didn't lose. It doesn't matter what should have happened or what we feel like should have happened. It did not happen. So to me, I can't sit here and tell you that I believe that A&M didn't belong in the top 4 with that. Other than losing that game, they were there. This loss, it's not a bad loss, and they have wins that match up with anything else that Texas Tech has done, anything that Georgia's done, anything that Alabama's done. I mean, that all matches up.
If you look at the metrics, it does. I test from watching Texas Tech. I think they're up there in the conversation of being in the top 4 for me at least.
I just think that they don't have the strength of schedule. Truly, I mean, look, they lost to a team that would have been the equivalent, I think, of Texas A&M losing to South Carolina.
You talk about ASU?
Yeah.
At full strength ASU, but early on in the season?
You tell me, Arizona State and South Carolina play on a neutral field. Is that more than a touchdown spread?
Are we talking Arizona State right now, or Arizona State when that game?
Both teams full
Tech?
strength. Both teams full strength. Talent on the field. That game is not more than a touchdown spread, according to Vegas. I don't. You can't convince me of that on a neutral site. If it's played in Columbia, South Carolina's probably 1.5. If it's played in Tempe, ASU's probably closer to 7. But there's nowhere that's a touchdown or more spread. Yeah. So to me, like when you look at stuff like that, right? You look at those metrics and what like power ratings would say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy that anybody in the Big 12 is Texas A&M or Texas Tech is head and shoulders above the Big 12. They beat everybody's ass except for Arizona State, which I think is a bad loss.
Yeah.
If we're looking at the Big 12 and what it was this year, that's not a good loss.
No.
The saving thing for them is the fact that they have beat everybody and they are 11-1 and they've dominated everybody. I mean, they put a historic ass whooping up in Milan Pusker last night or yesterday afternoon. Yes. Historic. That's the worst loss West Virginia's ever had at home since 1891. Not to rehash old memories for my West Virginia fans around here, but like that's.
I think he's too busy with something else right now.
No, he's not. They're done. But
Oh, okay.
To me, I think Texas Tech's great. I think they're going to be a team that contends. I think they're going to be a team that wins a game or two in the playoff. I just don't know that. I sit here and say that one team has. I can't buy that Tech has a better record than A&M. I can't buy that yet, or a better strength of record, better resume than A&M. I can buy that Tech may look better, and that may be true at the end of the day, because at the end of the day we haven't seen Tech play level competition. But I will give it the credit that it's due that they are 11-1 and they beat the schedule in front of them as the same way as Texas A&M has. A&M has a better loss, which is going to, I think, keep them ahead of Tech. The question is going to be whether or not they stay ahead of Georgia.
Yeah, I think they could flip flop with Georgia. I think it just depends on what they look at as, whether they're more metrics or if they've been really watching Texas Tech, if their eye test of what they saw yesterday. And,
I don't trust the committee to have. If the committee talks about eye test, I'm not buying a damn word they say.
No,
they do not know football enough to tell me to tell me anything based on an eye test.
Yeah,
but that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
I don't
I
want to
was
spend I don't
trying to
want to spend
see.
all day on this conversation because we got more to get
Right.
to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do think that I think A&M will stay above Texas Tech, and it'll be a question as to whether or not Georgia gets into that top four
So
and gets a bye.
here, here's the calling matrix for you. The calling matrix really does not like Texas Tech, which is just kind of surprising. Uh, calling matrix really likes BYU instead of Texas Tech, though. Ohio State, Indiana, BYU, Georgia, Oregon, A&M at 6, with Texas Tech all the way down at 11. I don't think that's going to be
See, but
anything
I
close
can't I
to
can't buy that either. BYU, the
no,
third best team in college football? I don't think so.
no,
I don't think so.
no.
All right, moving on. Dude, talk about a historic beating in Knoxville last night. Vandy took care of business. 45-24
Hmm.
victory over Tennessee. And Vanderbilt has an outside shot at making the college football playoff. They're going to need some help.
Hmm.
They're going to need some serious help. But an outside shot. I think Vandy's got a good resume. I think they've got a good spot. Vanderbilt's losses are Alabama and Texas.
Hmm.
Miami's
And
losses,
both were road
Miami's
games.
losses are SMU and Louisville.
Yeah.
BYU's loss is Texas Tech. Could be a second loss to Texas Tech, and we could get the help we need there if you're a Vandy fan. I'm not. I just said we because I kind of want to see Vandy in the playoffs. That's personal preference. But
Right.
there's an outside chance that the Vanderbilt goes and does it. And with the way they took care of business in Knoxville, when I talk about the committee not knowing how to evaluate stuff, the committee doesn't understand how bad of a defense Tennessee has been all year long. There's a reason I did not rank Tennessee up until like 3 weeks ago. Because their defense has been one of the worst I've ever seen in Knoxville and
Yeah.
in the SEC. Plain and simple. And we saw it firsthand yesterday. They got destroyed. Poor pursuit angles, poor coverage, poor run
Yeah.
defense. I mean, it was just bad all around. Once again,
Yeah.
this Vanderbilt team is really good. That I stand on. That's a 10-win team with I think one of the best head coaches in college football, and I don't
Hmm.
particularly think it's close. Um, like I would rank Clark Lee in top 5 right now as a coach alone. I would rank Clark Lee in top 5. This is going to be a very interesting direction that the playoff committee goes this Tuesday. It's going to set us up for everything we need to know. Do I believe that Vanderbilt is better than Miami? Talent? Probably not. Coaching? Yes. I think so. And I think that that's going to be what I think this win yesterday is going to be a big help to them. Miami's got some help themselves by helping themselves with the win over Pitt. We'll see how it goes going forward, but I just think it's a very interesting position that Vandy has now put the committee in their own right at 10-2, kind of a fan favorite team, kind
Hmm.
of the college football darlings, if you will, right now. Until people realize that they're not going anywhere, and this is going to keep happening for a long time. This is interesting. I'm very curious what Tuesday's rankings look like for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that there's going to be some upset people because you, in all honesty, should be in a position where Vandy is ahead of Miami, but I don't think they will be, and I think the what they're I think that it's not just a matter of what they do kind of at that cutoff point that is going to be of interest, but what we're going to see entering conference championship weekend, the possibilities that we'll get to talking about this later on. I mean, Tyler, I don't know if you know this, but I heard that the Department of Defense's computers were working overtime to try to determine who's going to play for the Mountain West Championship. Man, I really hope that we don't get attacked while they're using their computers for something else at this point. But
I don't even want to talk about
um,
that. I have
I,
no
I
interest in
I
that.
know
We're going to talk about it,
I
but
know
man, that is.
it's such a ridiculous. But anyway, there's intrigue with the at the bottom of the top 25. Where are they gonna
Yeah.
what are they gonna do it there? And I mean, I was looking at the rankings last night from this past Tuesday. They didn't have any team that had you know any more than 3 losses. We're going to go into the conference championship game, and there's going to be a team that's playing and could win a conference championship that won't be ranked in the top 25 that has 5 losses. That I just don't see a world where if they win that game,
How did
that
we
they
get
should
onto
jump.
this?
We were talking about the top 25. I'll stop and
When
shut
were we
up for.
We were talking about Vanderbilt
got-
beating Tennessee and how they could sneak
And
into the
jump
playoffs right
over
now.
Miami, yes, yeah. And I said that there's a lot of intrigue with what the committee does on Tuesday
Okay.
in that respect. So,
Jesus. Just wait a minute.
do you
We'll get to a conversation here.
Do
Just
you
wait a
want me
minute.
to be on the show still?
Jeez. Well, just slow down.
All right.
Damn, dude.
All
We're
right.
talking
Okay.
about Vanderbilt and Tennessee, all right?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Next topic. Cal beats SMU, meaning that Duke is going to play for the ACC title. So if you'd have just slowed down for a minute, we would have gotten there. And so Duke at 7-5 is going to go to Charlotte. Going to come down to my area.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not working next Saturday, and I do not intend to be in that area next Saturday because fuck that. I'm not going to go watch ECT. I've seen Virginia play in the ACC title game. You know what that looked like? An ass whooping. Clemson beat them 66-10, I think it was, in that game. It was terrible.
Oh, good Lord.
But nonetheless, we got Duke and Virginia in the ACC championship game.
Mm-hmm.
The funniest thing that I may have ever seen in college football could still be right in front of us in a week's time.
Mm-hmm.
Duke could win the ACC, meaning the ACC is out of the college football playoff. Why is that possible? I've been seeing a lot of people say that, well, there's no way they'll leave Miami out of the playoff. Yeah, they likely can, and they likely will. Here's why. Alabama losing the SEC championship game is not going to affect their playoff chances.
Yes.
Why is that not going to happen? Because it's not going to be a blowout of a game, and we saw last year when SMU lost the ACC championship game that they're not punishing teams for losing a conference title. BYU likely not going to be overly punished for losing the Big 12 title game. Virginia winning is going to put them above Miami. It's also going to keep the American or JMU ahead of Miami in terms of they're going to get in by way of conference title. When we talk about if Duke wins, it's going to be JMU and Tulane or North Texas, whoever wins the American.
Mm-hmm.
Miami is still going to be out of the college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say that they don't jump Vandy over Miami for their dominance over Tennessee and Knoxville.
Yeah.
Conference championship game in the ACC comes down to the ACC's playoff hopes comes down to Virginia or nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think enough people really believe that or realize that. But that's the reality we are sitting in. The doomsday scenario for the ACC has officially happened. And there's nothing we can do to get away from it if Duke somehow manages to win that game. Now, remember, Virginia beat Duke 34-17 a few weeks ago. I think there's going to be a different game plan. It's hard to beat a team twice. But Virginia is certainly going to walk in as probably a touchdown favorite still.
I think I saw a field goal late last night.
Well, that's even more interesting.
Very interesting.
Now, that game was in Charlottesville last time they played, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you got 2.5 point favorite Virginia right now.
It's going to be an interesting one. I'm nervous for the ACC to an extent because this is going to be a very damning situation for them. But it's going to prove a lot of points that I've made over the course of this show's existence and prior when it was Loudmouth CFB. Conferences need divisions to determine the two best teams in the conference, in a sense. Because right now, we have 3 different conferences that are not using their 2 best teams in a conference title game. The MAC has chosen Miami, Ohio by computers over 2 teams they are tied with that beat Miami, Ohio this year, being Ohio and Toledo. The tiebreaker should have come down to Ohio and Toledo and their common opponent or their record versus common opponents. Not Miami, Ohio, and Toledo and their common record versus opponents. How in the world did we get Miami, Ohio in a conference championship game over 2 teams they lost and are tied with?
Look at the Big 12.
Hang on.
Well,
We're getting there.
I was just
Let me
well, I was
finish.
all I
Let me
was
finish
trying.
where I'm at real quick, and then you can interject, please. You look at the Mountain West. Boise State is going to be the team going to the conference championship over a team they lost to in San Diego State, and they got dominated by San Diego State. You look at the ACC. Duke is going over Miami, SMU, other two lost teams in this conference by way of a tiebreaker record versus common opponents, which, by the way, Duke and Miami share two common opponents, Syracuse and NC State.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead with your point about Utah.
So, because of the results of Friday, you already had it locked in when Arizona beat Arizona State that Utah could not make the conference championship game, even if Texas Tech and BYU had both lost on Saturday, because Utah lost to both those teams head to head. They were officially eliminated, and that was it. There was no chance, unless Arizona State had beaten Arizona on Friday night, for Utah to go to the Big 12 title game. I don't understand how that happens in the Big 12, but the MAC, not only allows for Miami of Ohio to be in the conversation, but allows them to, get into the conference title game as a result of the outcomes that played out over the week.
We got chat. Greg, thank you for being here first off, but comment says the conference championship game has to become irrelevant. NCAA will make that happen. The conferences have overstepped their work to the sport. It's a fact. That is a known fact. The conference championship games mean nothing anymore, and they should not exist, because what happens is, for example, Georgia-Alabama is not going to mean anything in the playoff race. Both teams will make the playoffs. BYU-Texas Tech isn't really going to make a difference. Nobody's going to punish Texas Tech and take them out of the playoffs. If BYU wins, it pushes them into it. That's the difference there. Duke could completely eliminate the ACC from playoff contention. Like, the ACC likely is going to be the first team to say, hey, look, we're done. Either we're done or we're going to go to divisions. What needs to happen, and this is what I've been kind of clamoring for from the very beginning of this conference expansion conversation. If we're going to bring 18 teams into a conference, great. But you need a round-robin conference play. You need two divisions, round-robin. So if it's 20 teams, if the Big Ten brings in two more, 20 teams, and you have an East and West division like you used to, which would not be that terribly imbalanced anymore, and you play 9 conference games against your other 9 division opponents, the best record out of those 9, or out of those games, goes and faces the other one, and that determines seeding in the playoffs. That should be the only reason that exists. The only reason that exists. You look at it the other way around, the Big 12 could say the same thing. All of these tiebreakers that are so unnecessary, that's the reason divisions existed to begin with. That's the reason the Sun Belt still has them, because the Sun Belt plays a round robin versus their division. They play 2 out-of-division games, and then these teams play for a conference title, the 2 best. And I think we've got the 2 best in that conference, even though, well, I don't know if we got the 2 best. I think it would be JMU, Old Dominion. But the point, I think, remains. Divisions are important for the fact of just order. The divisions are important for the fact of making these scenarios a lot simpler, because we're now we're 2 years into this now, where we've seen multiple outrageous tiebreaker scenarios present themselves already. What are we supposed to say? What am I supposed to sit here and tell you about this system, other than it is fraudulent? It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. Why would we continue to do this?
Right.
What we need to do is what was originally presented, and bring the 4 and 5. If those are the 2 teams that are just on the playoffs looking in, just outside looking in, give them another resume booster. Yeah. If that's what we want to do.
You had a scenario, I want to say it was not the last year of the Pac-12, but the next last year, where there were 3 teams that were tied to go and face USC, and it ended up being Utah, despite Utah losing to Washington and not playing, or losing to Oregon and not playing Washington. One of those things had played out that way. It was the same thing. They went away from the divisions, and the way that the common opponents, everything played out, it made very little sense.
It was the original. Pardon me, but it was the original fuck up in this entire situation. and it's continued to get worse because we've added so many teams.
Mm-hmm.
We have no less than 16 teams in a Power 4 conference.
Mm-hmm.
We have no less than 16 in a Power 4 conference. We have 17 in one, we have 18 in the other, and 16 in the other two.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just not going to help at any rate. We are fortunate that the Big Ten has powers that be in terms of there's 4 or 5 teams every year that are going to be the contenders, and everybody else typically just falls into place. The SEC has that in a sense. They have like 6 teams that really go out year to year and compete. And then they got everybody else. The Big 12 is a giant mess, and so is the ACC because they're all on a level playing field, minus Miami, who should be head and shoulders above the ACC this year. And they have once again let that down. And somehow Virginia is the team that pulls out of here, comes out here and is far and away the best team in the conference all year this year. Like, to me, it's just, we're going to find a different way to do this. The Mountain West has no sense made whatsoever. And to be completely honest, that is probably the worst one of them all. But I'm baffled at the MAC. I'm just surprised that we got where we are with the ACC right now. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to sit here and not agree with Greg here, again, saying that conference championship games should not exist anymore. Let's just get rid of them. I mean, if we're not determining it in a legitimate way anyways,
yeah.
I mean, what are we doing? This should be a Miami resume booster is what it should be. But it's not. And instead it is either Virginia wins or we are out.
Yeah.
So,
and you look at it this way, in the sense of, what it was originally designed to do in the early 90s. It was great. It made sense. The way that the SEC, started all this was because they had divisions. They had 2 6-team divisions in a 12-team conference. The winners of those divisions went and played in the conference championship game. That was, that was a great thing. It was a great idea, and it still can be if you want to have it. But in this era, the way that we've got it, it is nothing more than a $50 million plus dump of money from a network to be able to get, basically, as you called it, a playoff seeding game. And in this era, there's really no reason for it. You look at the way that the FCS bracket is done, all the other lower classifications of college football, the way that their bracket is done, there's no conference championship games. There is, less games in the regular season. If you want to go down this path, if you want to one day, talk about the top 24 teams in the country, if you want it to be similarly styled to the way that the FCS bracket is, you're going to have to cut the conference championship games. You're going to have to probably cut another game out of the regular season, because you're not going to be in a position that you can wrap up your season by mid-January as it's currently structured. If you keep the conference championship games, if you give a week or two in between before the playoffs actually start, you're pushing into Super Bowl territory at that point when you're talking about a 24 team or, anything like along that line playoff. And so it's not going to be around too much longer if that's the way they want to go. From the perspective of divisions versus not having divisions, I can understand why you want to have more games against teams that you don't play every year. There's imperfectivities with the divisions, and there's warts and all with doing the division style scheduling, and there's warts with not doing the division style scheduling, and we've seen a good mix of both. The reason the ACC got rid of the divisions in the first place is because we see a team like NC State and Virginia have to schedule a non-conference home and home because they never played each other, maybe one or every 8 or 9 years, the way that it was currently structured. So from that perspective, yeah, I can understand why they want to, play a team that they're very close in proximity to more often than they actually were. But then you get into this entire mess that we've put ourselves in, where we're trying to determine a meaningless, at this point, conference champion. And so if we're going to get rid of the divisions, there's no reason for there to be conference championship games, going forward. If you want to keep the importance of a conference championship game, there's got to be some sense of structure. And I think what you've said, Tyler, in terms of the way to go about it, having the 2 round robin divisions and going to, having those winners go to, the neutral site to play for a conference championship, that's the only way that this makes any sense to keep going forward in the future. And I just don't
when you look at the FCS,
I don't see them doing it.
So there's a couple things. The reason that it's not like the FCS is because the FBS and the College Football Playoff Committee feels like they are better than everything below them and thinks they need to do things differently than everybody below them.
Which,
the other
spoiler
difference,
alert, they're not.
The other difference is that this trying to make sure I get what I'm trying to say here, because I had it and then I lost it. That's a pain in the ass.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I don't know. Sometimes you just lose a thought. It happens. It wasn't that important. I mean, with that said, though, I mean, let's go ahead and move on. I'll come back to it if I remember, but I don't think I'm going to. Pretty much out on that one. So let's go ahead and take a look through the rest of the sport real quick. We like to go through. Those of you who are new around here, please subscribe. This is the most views we've gotten on any stream all year long. I appreciate you guys. Please leave a like and subscribe if you're enjoying what we're talking about so far today. It's just greatly appreciated. It helps us out a lot. It helps you guys find us a little bit further later down the line. We do content here year round, so just appreciate it. Thank you guys. But I'm not going to spend much time on that.
I was about to say, I want to thank Avi for saying he's going to sub. He said, you guys know your stuff.
Yeah, and believe me, I didn't want the OSU glaze, but it felt fitting. It felt fitting after the way they played this year. So let's go ahead and roll through. We'll start with Power 4, and then we're going to go all the way through the G5. That's how we do it every week. We'll go through those. And then we are going to talk the FCS playoffs a little bit, just kind of the first round matchups. We had a historic matchup in Youngstown, Ohio earlier this week, or yesterday. So with that said, ACC play, we'll go, for those who don't know, we go by winners, unless it's an independent team, and then we'll just kind of go with that. So ACC, Clemson beats South Carolina 28-14 in Williams-Brice Stadium. They finished 7-5. That's a worst record in 15 years for Clemson under Dabo Swinney. As for South Carolina, they finished 4-8. Not the year they expected. I think that says very lightly what I think a lot of people feel around that program. The team looked better without Mike Shula, but
no Shula. I don't know why I said Mike Riley,
but it just didn't get much better. Notre Dame beat Stanford 49-20, punching their ticket certainly to the playoff at this point. Miami beats Pitt, helping their chances, but we'll see where they end up on Tuesday. They get a 38-7 victory over the Panthers. Virginia beats Virginia Tech 27-7. They punch their ticket to the ACC title. Cal, again, we talked about that just a minute ago, beats SMU 38-35, controlled that game the whole way through. A late touchdown drive ultimately wins it for them.
After SMU made a comeback and nearly got a win that they probably shouldn't have gotten.
Yeah, very impressive comeback from SMU, but just falls short. It kind of reminded me of the Miami game that should have been last year. Comeback in Berkeley that almost fell short, minus a missed targeting. But Cal gets the win there, knocks SMU out of the ACC title game. Louisville beats Kentucky 41-0. Again, that kind of goes back to what we've talked about with Kentucky. Boston College beats Syracuse. That was one of my locks yesterday. By the way, we went 6-4. We were at one point in my locks of the week. I do 10 every week. At one point, we were 14 games below 500. We finished the year 70-73. Not bad. Not bad of a comeback.
You got a chance to go above 500 with conference championship games.
Yeah. So that was nice. Or sorry, we finished 67-70. That's what it was. It was 3 games below 500, but it was 67-70. Boston College wins 34-12. That was a lock that we had. Boston College minus 2.5. Syracuse offense again, just without Steve Angeli, man, it just wasn't in. Duke beats Wake Forest, punching their ticket with everything else that happened. They needed a pit loss they needed a pit loss and an SMU loss and a win. They got it.
Yeah, they got all three.
49-32 over Wake Forest. A great year in year one for Jake Dickert. I mean, we're gonna do season grades later down the line, and Wake Forest is pushing an A. 8-4 in year one under Jake Dickert. What an impressive first year with the talent on this roster. I predicted 6-6, and I think they certainly exceeded that expectation. So good for them. NC State takes down North Carolina. Year one under Bill Belichick finishes at 4-8. NC State goes 7-5.
5 straight for the Wolfpack over the Tar Heels as well.
Yes. Big 12 Friday, we had Utah get a 31-21 win over Kansas, and then Arizona wins the Territorial Cup 23-7. Really not a great game on either side, but Arizona State just could not move the ball, and it comes down to the fact they couldn't throw the ball. Plain and simple, that it was pretty obvious. Jeff Sims just wasn't it. So unfortunately, without Sam Leavitt, and likely not next year either, given certain rumors, we'll see. We'll see where that goes, but Arizona, that's a big win for them. They finished 9-3 in year two under Brent Brennan, so that's a fun little stat for them. Texas Tech hands West Virginia their worst loss at home since 1891 with a 49-0 victory over the Mountaineers. Texas Tech finishes 11-1. They are going to be in the playoffs one way or the other. What happens next week? BYU punches their ticket to the Big 12 title game with a 41-21 win over UCF. It was close for a little bit. It was 17-14 at halftime after a 14-0 lead for UCF. But BYU turns it on in the second half. BYU covers 17.5, and that was a cover for me on the Take 10. Kansas State beats Colorado 24-14. Houston beats Baylor 31-24. They finished 9-3, by the way, themselves. Next year, they bring in a 5-star number 1 quarterback in the country. Houston is not going anywhere. This team is going to be legit for a few years to come.
Yeah.
Iowa State beats Oklahoma State 20-13, and TCU beats Cincinnati 45-23 to close out the year. Back on the right track after the wheels kind of fell off over the middle part of the season.
I've got a chance for another 9-win season in the bowl game, but it's just one of those that you look at as a TCU guy, 3 games that we lost that if we just could have held on the ball and not turned it over as often we did in those games, we'd be right in the conversation. We're up there with Tech, BYU, and Utah in that 11-1 range.
Indiana beats Purdue 56-3. They take back the old Oaken bucket, take it home once again. Another ass blasting. Purdue, man, I don't know what else to say there. Iowa beats Nebraska 40-16. Ohio State beats Michigan 27-9. Oregon beats Washington 26-14. They are now, I think, officially locked in the playoffs. USC with a 29-10 victory over UCLA. By the way, the Ohio State-Michigan under hit, that was one of our Take 10. We missed on it. Michigan plus 9.5. Minnesota beats Wisconsin 17-7. Penn State and Rutgers. Penn State wins 40-36. They are bowl eligible. The under misses on that one. I had under 55.5. Man, that was not even close.
Oh, 76 total points.
Yeah. Maryland and Michigan State. Michigan State beats Maryland. And the under for Maryland, after starting 4-0 hits, under 4.5 wins on the season, we did have that in week 0, and man, did we sweat it out for 8 straight weeks. But Michigan State gets the win. Maryland finishes 4-8. Illinois beats Northwestern 20-13. A good end to what was, I think, an expected season from my perspective. A lot of people thought Illinois was going to be last year's Indiana, was going to make the playoffs, make a run.
Mm-hmm.
Never felt that way. I thought they were going to go 8-4, and as a matter of fact, they finished the season 8-4. So
8-4.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that one. SEC play: Texas beats A&M 27-17. Georgia beats Georgia Tech 16-9. Ole Miss beats Mississippi State 38-19. We missed on Oklahoma covering 10.5. It was a 17-13 victory for Oklahoma in Norman. They are going to the playoffs most likely. Alabama beats Auburn 27-20. They are pretty much locked in. They go to the SEC title next week. Vanderbilt beats Tennessee 45-24. The over hits in that game. Over 66.5. Nailed it. Louisville beats Kentucky.
Nice.
Oh, we already talked
69.
about that one. Yes. Missouri beats Arkansas 31-17, and Florida beats Florida State 40-21. That is your Power 4 rundown. Moving on, we go to the American, where Navy beat Memphis 28-17 on Thursday night to finish the this portion of the regular season 9-2. They will play Army for a chance to have 10 wins on the season, and they will go to whatever bowl game they are selected, likely one of the either military or armed forces bowl. North Texas beats Temple 52-25. They will be playing in the American Athletic Conference title game on the road against Tulane, who beat Charlotte 27-0. How this works out, I don't know. They had the better conference record, I think, or the better overall record. They had the same conference record, better overall record, lower ranked. I think that's why Tulane gets to host. East Carolina beats FAU 42-3. The score at halftime was 42-3. So, yeah. UAB beats Tulsa 31-24 to close out a disappointing year for both of those sides. Army beats UTSA 27-24 to lock in a bowl game for them. They'll again go for 7 wins against Navy in whatever bowl game they'll play.
First home loss for UTSA this season. First home conference loss in multiple years for UTSA.
Yeah, 25 straight. That streak is now over. For UTSA. South Florida beats Rice 52-3. Thanks. Great. Conference USA. That title game has been locked in as well. Delaware wins over UTEP 61-31. FIU beats Sam Houston 56-16. Jacksonville State punches their ticket with a win over Western Kentucky 37-34.
Walk-off field goal.
Yep. Louisiana Tech beats Missouri State 42-30. Ending what was an impressive year one for Missouri State nonetheless, but Louisiana Tech had a good year under Sonny Cumbie. Middle Tennessee State beats New Mexico State 31-24 in overtime. That punches their 3rd win of the season, I believe. They finished 3-9. I think New Mexico State finishes 3-9.
It's 4-8.
Oh, okay. My bad. I was one off. Kennesaw State wins in double overtime 48-42 over Liberty. Liberty not going bowling this year and not even close to a conference contender. Kennesaw State will play for the conference title next Saturday against Jacksonville State in Jacksonville, Alabama.
And by the way, also one quick note from the rest of the Conference USA, Missouri State and Delaware are both bowl eligible and will go. They do get the
we finished with 82 on the dot
waiver,
so they get the waiver.
Yeah.
Bowling Green beats UMass 45-14. UMass finishes as the only winless team in the FBS level this year. Western Michigan beats Eastern Michigan, punches their ticket to the MAC title game. Ohio beats Buffalo 31-26, and Kent State beats Northern Illinois. That was Friday. Bowling Green and Western Michigan won on Tuesday. Yesterday, Toledo beats Central Michigan 21-3, and Miami, Ohio beats Ball State 45-24. Miami, Ohio covering 16.5. It's a hit. That was part of our locks. Mountain West, Air Force beat Colorado State 42-21. New Mexico beat San Diego State in double overtime 23-17. Boise State and Utah State. Boise State wins 25-24. UNLV beats Nevada 42-17. That's a cover. UNLV minus 7.5 was what we had yesterday. Fresno State 41-14 win over San Jose State, and Hawaii wins 27-7 over Wyoming in Honolulu. Pac-12, Washington State wins the Pac-12 by way of a tiebreaker being the best record. Washington State wins 32-8 over Oregon State. They had a 6-6 record on the year. They will go bowling.
Yeah.
In the Sun Belt, Georgia Southern beats Marshall. I believe that was their ticket to a bowl game. It takes Marshall out of a bowl game by their loss. Old Dominion beats Georgia State 27-10. Arkansas State beat App State 30-29 to go bowling. App State will miss a bowl game for the first time in a while. Sorry, 2nd year in a row, actually. That's my mistake. Louisiana beats UL Monroe 30-27 in overtime. Texas State beats South Alabama 49-26. Troy beats Southern Miss. They win the Western Division by way of this win yesterday. And JMU beats Coastal Carolina 59-10. They are likely going to crash course for the same result next week against Troy. That is your FBS overlook as a whole. I don't believe I missed anything. No, because UConn was off this week. They finished 9-3. FCS playoffs, first round. Villanova beats Harvard 52-7. That game was not close at all, not even remotely. Rhode Island beats Central Connecticut 27-19. That was a rematch of a playoff game last year, which Rhode Island won as well. Abilene Christian beats Lamar 38-20. Illinois State beats
Yeah.
Southeast Louisiana 21-3. That was Southeast Louisiana's first playoff appearance in quite a while, if ever, I believe. I can't remember what the exact stat was, but I think it was ever.
And first home loss as well for Sela, and it was not a good day for the Southland. Now they still have SFA that will play next week live in the FCS playoffs.
Yeah. North Dakota beats Tennessee Tech 31-6. The Golden Eagles of Tennessee Tech finish 11-2 on the season,
with North Dakota and Kentucky being their only losses.
Yeah, their first loss versus an FCS opponent. South Dakota State beats New Hampshire 41-3 in the snow. Yeah, shocking.
That tracks.
Purely shocking. South Dakota beats Drake 38-17. And then on
is South Dakota in a dome? How was South Dakota State playing in the snow, but South Dakota no sight of snow on their field?
I don't know. They're not particularly close, I don't think.
Maybe.
I'm not sure. I don't know. You got a friend up there. You can ask him. Yale, comeback of the year. 35-7 at halftime. Youngstown State is dominating this game, and Yale comes back and wins 43-42. Yeah, that happened. They're going to go on the next week. They're going to play, if I'm not mistaken, they have Montana State. So, yeah, it was fun while that lasted.
That's a tough.
that was probably not.
That's a tough one.
Not going far. So we'll talk about next week.
Do you want to go through these matchups?
Well, I'll go through them here in a minute. We had some other games yesterday, just some HBCU matchups. Alabama State beat Tuskegee 58-21 on Thursday. Southern beat Grambling 28-27. And Mississippi Valley State gets their second win of the season over FAMU 35-31.
Wow.
I cannot believe that result. I had to point that out because I couldn't believe that one happened. Okay, next week's matchup, second round of the FCS playoffs, look like this. At noon on Saturday on ESPN Plus, you can find Villanova on the road facing 12-0 Lehigh. That will be a very fun matchup. I'm actually excited to see that one. South Dakota will go on the road to face Mercer in the second round at noon on ESPN Plus.
I know you're pulling for the Coyotes of South Dakota in that one.
Yeah, Mercer got a bye by way of a no contest game over UC Davis. I'm still pissed about that from all the way back in week 0. Because they were losing that game. They chose to no contest it because they're chicken shit. Illinois State beat Illinois State goes on the road to North Dakota State 12-0, the only other undefeated FCS team here. They'll play them at 1 p.m. on ESPN Plus in the Fargo Dome. Abilene Christian and Stephen F. Austin will face off next week in wherever SFA is.
Nacogdoches.
Yeah. 10-2 SFA and ACU will face off. That'll be at 1 p.m. on ESPN Plus.
What's funny about it is that's an in-state showdown, Abilene Christian and SFA, two Texas teams, but they're completely different conferences.
Yes, WAC versus Southland.
Yeah.
Speaking of WAC, North Dakota goes on the road to face Tarleton State next Saturday. The at-large WAC team due to Abilene Christian getting the conference title, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
That's the only way ACU got in at 8-4. So,
yeah.
Prairie View and Jackson State
head-to-head,
play in the SWAC championship next week. That'll be for the chance to play in the Celebration Bowl in 2 weeks.
That's 2 o'clock on ESPN 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Which, by the way, how did only one of these FCS games get on ESPN proper at some point? It's beyond me. Especially with the way the conference championships are laid out next week, I'm just surprised. Yale and Montana State will face off from Brookings next week.
Bozeman,
my bad. Brookings is South Dakota. That's my fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bozeman. 9-2 Yale, 10-2 Montana State. Yale, that was a great comeback last week. Thank you for making a memory in your first playoff appearance. See ya. South Dakota State and Montana, dude. What? Unbelievable. We're going to be talking about next week from Missoula. I am excited for that. 2 p.m. and I bet you we are going to be talking some snow in that one.
It looks like the high is expected to be 40, but there's a chance of rain and snow.
We're still a week away.
That's true. It could change.
And then Rhode Island and UC Davis will face off from California at 10 p.m. on ESPN2 next
So
Saturday.
every other game starts before or 2 o'clock at the latest,
Dude, what
and
the
they
fuck,
they
man?
are playing at 10 o'clock.
I don't know. It is what it is.
That's almost unfair to Rhode Island
Yeah.
to make them play that kind of kickoff.
All right. Looking real quick ahead to next week, just taking a brief overview here. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been the most viewed live we've done of all this season. So thank you guys. Please leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here. But we're going to go ahead and talk about next week real quick. Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State will face off for the Conference USA title at 7 p.m. next Friday on CBS Sports Network. That'll be an interesting game. Jacksonville State's a 1.5-point favorite as we walk into that one. Troy plays James Madison in the Sun Belt title next Saturday, 7 p.m. on ESPN. JMU 21.5-point favorites.
I think that's Friday as well, isn't it?
Friday, sorry, I said the wrong day. Knew what I meant, knew what I looked at, said it wrong. North Texas and Tulane next Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, ABC. North Texas 2.5-point favorites on the road in Ullman Stadium. Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Fox. UNLV, Boise State. One of the most BS matchups in the conference titles this year. Boise State, 3.5-point favorites. I don't even care at this point. These are not the two best teams in the conference. They're not, and they're not close. So whatever. No. That game can be whatever it wants to be. Saturday, noon, ABC, BYU, Texas Tech. Big 12 title game. Winner to the playoffs. If Texas Tech loses, they're staying in. If BYU loses, they are out. Miami, Ohio, and Western Michigan for the MAC title next week. I can forgive it somewhat, but I can't at the same time. Miami, Ohio, not one of the two best teams. They lost to the other two that they are tied with for second place. Don't know how we got here, but Western Michigan, 2.5-point favorites. Texas Tech comes in as 13.5-point favorites in that game for the Big 12, by the way. Georgia and Alabama in Atlanta, 4 p.m. on ABC for the SEC title game. Georgia, 1.5-point favorites on the books for that one. We'll see. Alabama won earlier this year. Indiana and Ohio State, Indianapolis, 8 p.m. Fox. Ohio State, 5.5-point favorites. This game might be the Heisman Trophy game right here. So we'll see. And then my favorite. I can't not smile when I talk about this. 8 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Duke at 7-5. Welcome to the ACC Championship game. You will face Virginia at 10-2 for a chance. UVA 2.5-point favorites in Charlotte next Saturday.
Is it bad that I want to be so badly on the Team Chaos side of things?
I am. Because I am because it's going to open up a different world. It's going to open up a different look to this, to the way the sport is played, the way the sport is decided, the way things are decided in the sport. To which, yeah, let's have this happen. Let's get this out of the way early in this playoff era, so we don't have to see this anymore. Let's move forward. I mean, look, if we're going to expand the playoffs, let's expand the playoffs. Let's get every conference champion a auto bid to the playoffs. I don't care if they get destroyed 56-3. I don't care if Georgia goes and plays their backups against Troy. I don't care. Let's do this, okay? Let's do this the right way. Let's just do it that way. Give our at-large teams their spots and move on. Thank you. Welcome to the TED Talks. All right.
Thought there was the Tyler talk. Not
well,
Ted.
I'll go by Ted for today. While we're at it, Division 2 had their second round, by the way. The 1 seeds all got their wins. Kutztown, Pennsylvania wins over Assumption 56-19. Ferris State beats Ashland 56-24. Albany State beats Benedict 14-12. Harding beats Pittsburgh State 37-21. Frostburg beats Cal, Pennsylvania 23-21. Minnesota State beats Indy 35-27. Newberry beats West Florida 24-17. And UT Permian Basin beats West Colorado 21-15 in overtime. Cool. That was awesome.
How about the Falcons of UTPB are moving on, but Harding is going to be such a tough team. The way that they run a triple option attack that's unlike anything UT Permian Basin saw in the regular season. Let's see. The Ferris State, I think, is still got to be considered the favorites, even though they've got Mankato that they'll play. I don't think that there's really much that's going to be stopped until maybe the championship, depending on how the seeding works. And then Newberry taking down a West Florida team that was in the national championship a few years ago, and I think won a title not too long after that first appearance. So
I wanna give a quick shout out to a school very local to me, Johnson C. Smith University. Made the playoffs. I think that was the first time they've ever made the Division II playoffs. They lost to Frostburg last week, 21-7. They were the home team in that game. Cool for them. They had a really good year. They were ranked in the top 25 the majority of the season. Just really cool to see local teams, even at that level, doing good. So, a small school that not a lot of people know about, but it's cool.
For UT Permian Basin, they knocked out a really good Colorado State Pueblo team in the first round before they took down Western Colorado. So they're trying to make a kind of a miracle run themselves.
Looking at next week, the quarterfinals, Frostburg plays Kutztown next week. That'll be interesting. That's on all these games, all these playoff games are on ESPN Plus, by the way. Minnesota State will play Ferris State, who's also undefeated. Newberry and Albany State will face off, and then you have UT Permian Basin versus Harding. That's going to be a tough one for UTPB, but we'll see how it goes. You got Upper Iowa and Hillsdale facing off. And then West Texas A&M and Arkansas Tech are just facing off as well. This is just random.
Those are Division II bowl games, yeah.
I got you. Okay. D3, real quick, rolling through their playoffs. They're in their second round this weekend. John Carroll, beats Rand Macon 35-6. Sorry, this app ESPN doesn't spell out their stuff, so I have to just assume.
Okay, I've got the actual bracket up if you need me to fill in.
Yeah,
details.
whoever Wisconsin LC is versus Hopewell, maybe, I don't know.
Let's see. You said
a 9-7 victory for Wisconsin, whatever in the world. With LC, what is that?
LC. Hold on, I'm trying to track where you're. I'm not seeing a 9-3 result at all. I don't know what.
9-7.
Yeah, I don't see 9-7 either.
Well, that's what I have on here, man. I can't help it.
Yeah. So this is what I'm showing. I'm showing Mount Union taking down Muhlenberg 49-7 to get that matchup with John Carroll, who won 35-6 over Randolph-Macon.
There it is.
Trinity beat Hardin-Simmons 34-24. They move on to the quarterfinals, and they'll take on Berry, who took out LaGrange 18-14. Yeah. You have DePaul over Wisconsin Whitewater, 26-23. That's an
upset.
That's a little bit of a bit of a shocker. Wheaton, Illinois took down Wartburg 28-24. So it's Wheaton and DePaul, and then you have St. John's, Minnesota beating Monmouth, Illinois 49-15. They move on to get Wisconsin River Falls, who beat Chapman 58-7.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe that's another non-playoff Division III game.
No, it's second round of this game right here. A 7-2 versus a 9-1. It's got to be a playoff. But there's that. There's Salisbury beat Endicott 35-28. Susquehanna beats Newport 42-28. Johns Hopkins beats Springfield 34-14. Trinity, Texas beats Hardin-Simmons 34-24. Wisconsin Platteville beats Alma 24-7. You're on the wrong side of the bracket, aren't you?
Yeah,
there we are. Don't be telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. I knew what I was looking at. Wisconsin lacrosse. Thank you, Clay. Jeez, man. What an amateur show we're running for D3 football over here. My goodness.
The fact that we're even talking Division III football as much as an amateur show. All right, let's tap the brakes a little bit.
Hey, we like to get everybody their chances.
Yeah. Okay. So North Central Illinois over Hanover 38-6. Wisconsin lacrosse over Hope 9-7. I see that now. And then, like you said, Susquehanna over Christian Newport, or it looks like 42-28. That one I also don't have anything other than an abbreviation. They get Eastern, who beat Franklin Marshall 28-24. Wisconsin Platteville will take on Bethel after Platteville beat Alma 24-7. Bethel over Co 51-26. And then, like you said, Salisbury over Endicott 35-28. They'll get Johns Hopkins. Hopkins 34-14 over Springfield.
All right. So next week, third round of the Division III playoffs. John Carroll and Mount Union. That's going to be a fantastic game. Noon on ESPN Plus next Saturday. Great game lining up there. Salisbury versus Johns Hopkins. I don't know enough about some of these D3 schools, so we're just going to see what happens. Eastern versus Susquehanna. I know Susquehanna's pretty good. I don't know much about Eastern. DePaul with a W will play Wheaton next Saturday. St. John's, Minnesota, and Wisconsin River Falls. Wisconsin La Crosse versus North Central. I think North Central is going to dominate that game, if I'm being completely honest. Wisconsin Platteville plays Bethel, Minnesota. Undefeated Bethel, Minnesota, by the way. And then Barry College plays Trinity, Texas, 2 9-1s for a chance to move on to the third round
Mount
or
Union
fourth round.
game.
Yeah,
quarterfinals.
So there we go. We have gone through every single college football conversation we could possibly have. Thank you guys for tuning in. When we get to these types of playoffs, we start to go through them a little more. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. Again, thank you guys. 170 views and counting right now. So we just appreciate you guys for tuning in. Again, if you're new around here, please do like and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. It just helps us continue to grow this channel. We started with 62 preseason when we started doing all of our. When I started doing the preview season, as I call it, back in June, we were at 60 subscribers, and we have risen all the way to over 200 now. So we just appreciate you guys. Thank y'all so much for being here. And the end of the regular season does not mean the end of this show. We are going to be here going forward. We'll have some previews. Likely going to preview all 4 Power 4 conference championships this week. So thank you guys. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your Sunday. We'll see you tomorrow with the ACC championship preview. Y'all have a good rest of your day.